Hi, guys. This week we are actually going to take a time machine trip to a faraway time and place. And actually, we are going to look at what it was like in America 600 years ago, over 600 years ago, in the 1400s. So, this is an article and it's called This Land in the 1400s. And as we're reading, I want you to really look at some of the text features because this is nonfiction. So that means, again, that there's real photographs. There's captions that tell us what's happening in the photographs. There might be some text features. You won't see it in this one, but there could be maps. There could be timelines. And so we're really going to pay attention to some of the artifacts that are in the photos and the information about them. Also, while we're reading, you should be asking yourself questions about what you're reading. Like, who is this about? What is taking place? Where is this happening? What is the setting? Why is this occurring? Those kind of questions that help you check yourself and your own understanding while you are reading. So here we go. This is called This Land in the 1400s. Before America was a country, before it even had a name, this was a land that millions of people called home. And this is by Tricia Colligan. All right, so think and read. Big idea as you read. Think about what the land we now call America was like in the 1400s. So try to picture in your mind what this place was like that long ago. You're in a place like no other on earth. There are forests as far as you can see. Streams are filled with fish. And what is that loud noise you hear from far away? Is it a thunderstorm? An earthquake? No, it's a herd of giant bison. There are thousands of them, and they're coming right toward you. Run! You race through the tall grass. But wait a minute. Where are you? You're in the middle of a huge land. This land stretches from one ocean to another. Someday, it will be called the United States. But America isn't a country yet. America isn't even a word. The year is 1400, and millions of people live on this beautiful land. This heading is called Bursting with Life. That gives me a pretty good clue about what this section's about. Lots of life being born and taking place here. In 1400, the land is bursting with life. Giant grizzly bears roam from Alaska to Mexico. Birds fill the skies. Mountains seem to touch the clouds. Those must be really tall mountains. Treasures from the past. Here is some information about these photos. People have lived on this land for thousands of years. They left behind dazzling buildings and works of art. So in this one, there's a pottery bowl. The Mississippians made beautiful pottery, like this bowl. It was made between 1100 and 1400. The head and tail may have helped people hold the bowl while eating. I think that would make it easier to hold it if you had the big pieces to put your hands underneath. This next one is called the carved bird. It is this pelican was made by the Calusa people between 800 and 1400. The Calusa lived in large towns and villages. They lived on the coast of modern-day Florida. This wooden pelican probably decorated a building. It was painted white, black, and gray. Interesting decoration for a building. All right, the people who lived here are Native Americans. They are members of hundreds of different nations and tribes. Some groups have been living here for thousands of years. They don't call the year 1400, though. Different groups have their own calendars, traditions, and ways of tracking time. Interesting. So I'm thinking, what was it like to track time back then? They didn't have the kind of clocks that we have or ways to keep track of how much daylight has passed and how far we are into the next hour. Packed with people. You find large lakes in the north of the land. There you meet the members of the Lakota and Dakota nations. You visit different tribes. You hear conversations in different languages. One of the women lets you try on a beautiful robe of bison skin. Its colorful patterns shine. Farther south, you see tall piles of earth. They look like pyramids. They were built by another tribe, the Mississippians. You visit a busy marketplace. People trade deer skins and tools for farming and woodworking. Along the East Coast, you see villages packed with people. Watch out! A ball is flying toward your head. The Iroquois are playing an early version of lacrosse. They're using sticks with nets at the end. The balls are made of deerskin and fur. Whoosh! A sled pulled by dogs. Let me scroll down. Hurries by. Now you're on the coast of modern-day Alaska. You meet the Inuit tribes. They use sleds and boats called kayaks to travel and carry supplies. All right, look at these captions up here. This is a photograph of what it was actually like in some of the houses that they had built. Very cool. All right, but snow goggles. The Thule people created mask-like goggles. The goggles protected hunters' eyes from the wind, ice, and sun. These goggles were made in modern-day Alaska between 800 and 1200. Oops, sorry, I went too far. All right, cliff castles. Oh, I get it. I think they're probably called that because they're under a cliff, and a castle is a type of house they could live in. The Anasazi tribe lived in grand stone castles. The castles were carved into the side of a mountain. This cliff castle was built around 1200. You can see it in Colorado today. That's so cool. I've been there. All right, this land today. So, what happened to these people and their way of life? In the 1500s, groups of people from Europe came to live here. They gave the land their own name, America. So that's where my ancestors came from, I think, from Europe. Okay. Over time, new cities and towns were built. Native peoples were forced to leave their homes. Millions died. Can you imagine? They were killed in wars over their lands. They died from diseases brought from Europe. Wow. I can't help but wonder why. Why did all of this have to happen? It's so sad that they lost their land this way. Those who lived worked to carry on their tribe's traditions. Today, the land looks a lot different, but it still shines from its snowy mountains to its bright oceans. The people who live in America today are from all over the world. Some trace their family back to the people who first lived here thousands of years ago. So I'm going to think and imagine to myself what it would have really looked like during this time so that I know I really understood what I read. And I'm going to think about some of these text features and how really helpful they are for me to understand this article. I really think that the cliff castles are cool to look at. And I think it's amazing that this is the kind of houses they built back before we had the homes that we have today. That's what the native people would live in. And I really think it's cool that that's what it was like in Colorado. And then I think it's interesting that they also had these masks similar to the kind of mask that we make today so that we don't have snow in our face or cold weather blocking our vision, wind and rain and snow. All right, well, what I want you guys to do today is I want you to read this yourself, and then you're going to have some questions to answer about the article. I need you to use complete sentences and do not start with the word because we talked about on Friday that because is a conjunction. It is a glue word that's used to put two sentences together. So you do not need glue at the beginning of a sentence. Nothing needs to be held together at the beginning, okay? So because is not a word we begin sentences with. And remember that your sentences should have a subject and a predicate, and you can restate the prompt when you go to answer the question. All right, if you guys have any other things that you need from me, any questions, please let me know. I will be at the school all day. All right, bye.